everyone, how are you? I probably know most of you because I come here every Monday that it's on for a year. So what we're going to do today is a bit different because we're always focused a lot, or like I love learning, to come here to learn, and figure out how to actually talk to developers better. What we're going to do today is we're actually going to talk more about how you can talk with yourself better and talk with really just talking about yourself online and talking about why you're awesome. So Linda is going to help me with the slides. Say hi, Linda. Hi. Okay, perfect. So a bit about me. I'm a digital recruiter for the creative group in Toronto. Before that, I was a social strategist and a blogger. I lived in Montreal, and I ran a music blog, lifestyle blog, out of my living room with my two best guy friends. And that was a lot of fun. There's some YouTube videos on YouTube. If you want to follow me, I'm at Doublecast. If you want to send me your resume, if you want to have a chat, you want to grab a coffee, you want to talk about, maybe just talk about you in general, I'm pretty good at listening. So we can do that. You can email me there at cassie.doubleday@creativegroup.com, and yes, that is my real last name. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to open a discussion. I'm not going to tell you what you're going to Google search. I'm not going to say you need to tweet 5 times a day. I'm not going to say, if you do this way, it's going to be better, because I'm not an expert. I'm going to tell you what I think has worked for me, what I've seen that has worked for other people, and we're going to start really broad, and we're going to go all the way down. So, how do you want to be perceived online? Who are you anyway? Who do you want to be? What is your style? What's your signature mark? What do you want to do? You really have to think about these things. Sure, you can have that awesome Twitter profile, but as a developer and as a designer, if you haven't figured out who you want to be, then you're probably going to be like all over the place. So you're like, I'm really great at all of this. And I'm going to be like, I don't really care. What are you really great at the 3 things? So think about it that way. Okay. So let's look at some really great branded people. We have Bruce Lee, we have Albert Einstein, that really great guy. We have the gorgeous, the photogenic man, and of course, success, baby. Right? Great branding. Good for you. So think about it that way. If you were a meme, what type of meme would you be? How would you want to be seen? How do you want to get out there? Okay. So let's talk a bit more specific. What is your ultimate goal? Let's use the G word. So you want to be on Twitter, you want to be on Facebook, you want to be on LinkedIn, you want to have a portfolio. But what is your ultimate goal of all of this? Do you want to be a thought leader? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? How are you going to achieve that, which we're going to talk about? Or, do you want to get noticed? Do you want to be hired by an awesome company? Do you just want to be part of something? Do you want to be famous and take over the world? Hey, you could do that too. No problem. Maybe even no problem. Please don't do that. Okay, good. So how are you going to get there? Okay, so here's where we really start talking about you and promoting yourself. You want to start small. Like any great company, you are your own business. You want to start small with your brand. Pick a couple networks to go to. Pick a couple networking events to go to. I've been coming to DevTO. I only do a couple. Start really small with yourself. So even if you're only going to use GitHub, if you're only going to use LinkedIn, if you're only going to have an online profile, don't be all over the place because you're going to wear yourself out. Okay, again, focusing on a few. You definitely want to pick the ones that you think you're most comfortable with. And it's going to be trial and error. Some of the networking events aren't going to be your thing, and that's totally cool. You don't have to be. It's not going to be your thing. It doesn't have to be. Focus on a few things that you really like and you're really passionate about. And of course, you have to measure yourself. Going back to the G word, which is one of my favorite words these days. How are you going to measure those goals? How are you going to get there? How do you increase your online presence in a way that is always going to be consistent and you're happy with, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to sleep at night. It's no Miley Cyrus action. Okay, so this is one of my favorite quotes. Never trust someone that has a profile on damn near every social network ever created. They either have no life or one too many, right? Like, think about it. So let's talk about that. Where are you getting found? Where should you be looking? Again, going from the broad perspective of your brand to how do we actually get there once you've kind of figured out what your personal brand is. 72% is online search. Okay, so that's everything from your website to Facebook to Twitter to blog posts, to your GitHub. Then we have 59% on LinkedIn. Sure, so you know what? Let's optimize your profile on LinkedIn. Is that what's going to be your main source? Is that what's coming here with you? Then optimize your profile on LinkedIn. You know, if you only want to use your portfolio, then make sure it's optimized for online search. These are all specific things that we could talk about if you want to ask me later. I'm not going to fill your brain with that. I want you to get the concept of your own self down and then go promote yourself online. Because until you have that, none of this ain't going to work. Just saying. Okay. So then we have blog posts, right? So make sure that you have your, you know, if you're blogging, if you're part of GitHub, which will be part of a blog post, that's going to come up in a search as well. 23% on Twitter. Twitter is a hit or miss. You either love it or you hate it. And then, of course, like I'm saying, GitHub. New ones, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. YouTube is a great one for developers if you want to do informative videos. Because you don't really have to see anyone on the other side. I mean, you see yourself, but then you have all the views. Instagram's a really great one if you're a designer or a front-end developer and you have more of a design mind opposed to the analytical one. You know, that's a really great way to get your brand out there because you want to showcase some of your personality. Okay. Cool. So I already tweeted these, so feel free to retweet them. Here are my 3 takeaways. I want you to be consistent. If you change your profile on LinkedIn, please change it on Twitter. Please change it on your portfolio. Please make sure everything is aligned. Because if I see that your profile is, you know, the same, your high school picture, but then I go to your Twitter and it's like obviously something completely different. If you want to make yourself a brand, you've got to keep it consistent. If you want to make yourself good online so people recognize you, you've got to keep it consistent. Hence why whenever I'm at events, I'm always wearing this dress or another striped dress. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. And it's in most of my profile pictures. Except I switched up for fall bit of lunch today. Okay, update, update, update. One of the biggest mistakes you can do is not update and to take care of yourself. Here's a piece of advice. Before you take on any job, before you take on any contract, before you sign those papers, you make sure you ask them, am I going to be able to show this on my portfolio? Because there's nothing worse than seeing a developer who is so good, who comes in and he goes, well, I don't have anything to show. And I'm like, you've just done 3 years of work at an agency. It's like we weren't allowed to show it. If you can't even show all of it, at least have something to take away because you need to take care of yourself in order to get that online. So make sure you ask that because at the end of the day, when it comes down to business, you've got to think of yourself as one too. So getting online, update your portfolio. Take 5 minutes and do it, but always make sure it's updated, update, update. Again, increasing your online presence. Update, update, update. You know, be a bit provocative. You know, don't always just post content that someone else is doing. If you find it interesting, update it. I'm not saying you need to do it 10 times a day. Maybe do it once a day. It's whatever you're comfortable with because if you're building your own brand and you're building those networks starting from a few, you're going to grow anyway. Okay, so here's a really good one. Don't go plenty of fish on yourself, okay? Really, guys, please do not do that. It's classic, but it's true. You want to make sure, again, that you're staying professional for your brand. You know, when you think about a politician's brand, it's, you know, when you see like situations like Log4, it completely skews with respect gone. So as a developer, as someone in the industry, you know, making sure that if your brand is that Plenty of Fish brand, then hey, all to the power to you, right? But you have to really figure that out. And, you know, it's really each to their own, but you just got to work at it too. All right. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. All right, let's talk about that. Well, we all saw those gifts today of Miley Cyrus. We saw that BuzzFeed article and watched it 5 times. Okay. Have you searched yourself lately? So you've got your brand. You're doing your thing. You're doing really great. But have you searched yourself? What comes up in Google Images? What comes up on, you know, the first page of Google Search? Is it what you wanted? Did you want your portfolio there first? You know, what type of images are there? Does what you're doing align with your brand? Again, checking yourself, you know, even externally, you know, when you're out promoting yourself in person, make sure you're promoting yourself online in the same way. Of course, you know, each to their own. Here's my rule of thumb. I have my mom on Facebook, and I love my mom, so that's okay. And she will comment when people leave nasty comments, so that's really great. But, not joking. What would your mother say? Pick a mentor. Pick someone that you really respect. You know, whether it's your Steve Jobs, whether it's your boss, whether it's someone in your friend that's doing really great online. Watch what they do, compare, contrast, and try to, you know, it's like if pick a girl or pick a boy, pick whatever you're into, think about it in that way and try to impress them, because in the end, you're only going to challenge yourself each day by doing that. So, like I said, if you want to do it, you've got to figure out what you want to do first before you can promote yourself online. And we can sit up here and tell you all about social media, and people are like, oh, well, social media sucks. No, the way we engage on it sucks. Sometimes, maybe. So basically, to increase your online presence, you want to make sure you have yourself down. And then, you want to have an online portfolio. You want to make sure you have your LinkedIn. But you also want to make sure that you're checking in with yourself, because that can go a dangerous way. So yeah. So like I said, it was an open discussion. If you want to ask me any questions, this is a foundation. I'm giving you this information, and I want you to go with it. If you want to Google how many tweets you shoot a day, I can tell you that information from an infographic. But I'm giving you a foundation to go figure out what you need to do as developers to get yourself heard, or what you even want to do, because it's really, at the end of the day, you just need to be active. So as much time as you spend working on projects, make sure you're spending on yourself online too. That's it. Thanks, guys.